Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and with today's video I wanted to talk about something that is pretty interesting for the Alien franchise, because we've been basically waiting on pins and needles at this point to see what Disney, or 20th Century Studios as it's now called, is going to do with that very iconic, popular sci-fi franchise, as it is kind of outside of their normal wheelhouse. And fans have been optimistic. I mean, recently we talked about some comments from Ridley Scott, who is still very much interested in making another prequel film in his Prometheus Alien Covenant series. But before all of that, Neill Blomkamp was really jazzed up about making a fifth Alien film, with Sigourney Weaver coming back, Michael Biehn who portrayed Corporal Hicks, and even having an aged Newt and Bishop for his film, which was going to take place after Aliens, thus kind of diverging or divulging from the timeline of Alien 3 and Resurrection, and giving a proper fitting end to the Ripley character. We all know what happened with Blomkamp's film. It never came to pass and ultimately sort of fell apart in 2017, right around when Covenant was getting released. Basically, prior to Covenant's release, that film had been put on hold pending the release of Covenant, and then once Covenant started to come out, Ridley had said, oh well, you know, that film was never on the cards and that never got past script phase or anything, and it's basically dead. And you had Neill himself saying the project was dead and chances of it happening were slim to none. Over the past 3 years now, there's been lots of concept art and small nuggets coming out about the project and what it would have been, but we still really don't know much about it. Although Sigourney Weaver, who portrayed Ellen Ripley in the films, has been also vocal about wanting to return to that project at some time. And now, while speaking with Empire magazine for their Heroes issue, she talked a lot about the Ellen Ripley character across the 4 films and what she was going to do with the 5th film. And she also revealed something very big that could also indicate that they are still trying to get Ripley into a movie. Basically, during the interview, she said that she was game for Neill Blomkamp restarting the series after Aliens and picking up where that left off, but Fox lost faith. Recently, within the last year, producer Walter Hill sent over a 50-page treatment for a 5th Ripley-led film. She said, quote, "I don't know, maybe Ripley has done her bit. She deserves a rest. Ridley is obviously taking it in a new direction, and she thinks that maybe there's no more room for Lieutenant Ellen Ripley to come back." So this is obviously interesting because we never heard about this whole treatment from producer Walter Hill, who's been one of the main guys involved with the Alien franchise ever since the first film. He and David Giler were the 2 guys behind Brandywine, and they had been producing all of the Alien films and, you know, also co-writing the scripts for a lot of them, casting them, etc., kind of overseeing the franchise as a whole. And that is definitely new info that he supposedly has this 50-page treatment for another Ripley-led film, because ever since the Blomkamp thing fell apart, we didn't think there would ever be another film after the events of Alien Resurrection with Sigourney coming back into that role. We all kind of assumed that whatever they were going to do with the franchise going forward would be a hard reboot or just continuing the prequel films. So honestly, in terms of this whole interview, this does kind of bug me because it seems like Ridley Scott is really calling the shots over the franchise, even though the guy doesn't really own it, you know? It really goes back to Fox or 20th Century owning it, Disney. Walter Hill and David Giler even own the franchise, in my opinion, more than Ridley does, because, you know, Ridley, yes, he's a creative in it, he directed the first film, he came up with the idea of the prequel series, and that was fine and all, but I really wish he stayed in his lane, did his own prequel stuff, and didn't really worry or bother with trying to tamper the other films they wanted to do, because picture this. Ridley Scott did his own prequel films off to the side, those came out, those happened, and at the same time, we got Neill Blomkamp's movie, going in a completely different direction of the timeline. They don't have to overlap, they don't have to cross over, it's just an expanded universe, kind of like what other franchises are doing, like Star Wars. You know, you have the main prequel saga, and then you have standalone films like Neill Blomkamp's could have been like a Rogue One type situation or something, you know, it comes out, maybe they do a sequel to it, maybe not, it could have been a one and done type thing. but for whatever reason, they seem to keep aligning with whatever Ridley Scott wants to do, and he seemingly isn't interested in doing these spin-offs or other movies. So drop your thoughts down below. What do you think about this? Do you think that Fox and Disney should reconsider Walter Hill's proposal? Do you think Ripley should come back to the franchise and star in a new film and give that character a proper rest that she deserves, and maybe somewhat of a redemption after Alien 3 and Resurrection, even though most fans will agree that Alien 3, while flawed, did have a pretty nice ending to that entire trilogy. If you like this video and you want to see more content like it, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon next to it. It seems like we are somehow getting small tidbits of Alien news every few months or so now, so hopefully this stuff keeps on coming through, because whenever there's new Alien or Predator stuff to talk about, I will definitely be on hand to cover it, because those are two of my favorite franchises. If you want to hit me up on social media to talk about any of this news, or really anything in pop culture, you can find me in the links down in the description box. With all that being said, I'll catch you guys next time.